Wow, stories.
Am I the idiot for breaking up with my boyfriend? After he tried to force me into a week-long fast, I'm unable to post screenshots on here, so I will just copy and paste what he texted me last night. To the greater degree you can rise above the passions of your flesh, the urges that your material self cries out for, the greater degree you will find yourself in contact with your higher self. Then a photo with a quote saying, "Hunger is the first element of self-discipline. If you can control what you eat and drink, you can control everything else." And then finally him saying, "Are you able to go without eating tonight?" This came out of nowhere. For context, I've been wanting to lose weight for a while. I have issues with eating disorder in the past, inconsistent eating, all rooted in body image issues. And I've asked him for his help with smaller portions if he was comfortable with that. He was so happy to help me, as he always wants to see me improve myself. He has helped me with my portions since I've asked. He does 100% of the cooking. Randomly last night, we noticed it was 9:30 p.m. and we hadn't eaten dinner yet. I asked him to make it, and then he sent me those texts. I got upset and said that's triggering for him to say because of my eating issues. I would understand if it was sent after we already ate dinner, but he sent it to me when the only thing I ate yesterday was lunch. I fell asleep after and didn't eat anything. This morning I woke up to half-eaten dinner on the table, and he said he had dinner last night after I fell asleep. Is this concerning? Now for an update. Hey everyone. Thank you so much for all the great advice you all have given me. I'm grateful to have gotten some feedback on this situation. It was definitely an uncomfortable and intense one. For more context, my boyfriend and I have been dating for 3 years and living together for around 2 years. Our relationship is very healthy besides this, which is why I came to Reddit, because this was just so out of character for him. Also, we are both pretty spiritual, but the quotes he sent me were definitely out there for both of us. He did not write those quotes himself. He took them from a book he was reading at the time. After reading all your comments, I sat him down and talked to him about what happened. It really helped clear things up. First, he had no idea about my anorexia bulimia eating disorder. He thought I had the binge eating disorder, which I have struggled with as well, so it was just a miscommunication. He did know I have a weird relationship with food and issues with my weight, but he was truly only trying to help, as he had recently gotten into the idea of fasting. But when he learned that I did struggle with this type of eating disorder, he felt so terrible and apologized for sending those messages. He said he would have never sent them if he knew. He genuinely just wanted to open up a conversation about fasting, but did it in a bad way. As for the dinner part, he actually made dinner for the both of us, but I fell asleep. So he ate his portion and kept my portion for me to eat when I woke up for lunch the next day. It was just a lot of miscommunications, and I'm glad we were able to clear this up and deepen our relationship after. We did laugh at the comments saying they think he is a cult leader, though. He saw how those quotes could make him look like that LOL. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. To the greater degree you can rise above the passions of your flesh, the urges that your material self cries out for, the greater degree you will find yourself in contact with your higher self. That is one of the most pretentious, I love the smell of my own farts nonsense statements I've read on here. It strikes me as a guy who thinks he's way better and more enlightened than you, but don't worry. You can prove that you're on his level of supreme self-awareness by just not eating, apparently. Comment 2. Sounds like your boyfriend is on a power trip with his newfound self-improvement journey. Telling you not to eat dinner and sending those pretentious quotes is a red flag. It's manipulative and triggering given your history. Stand your ground and set clear boundaries. Your health and well-being come first. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support and advice. A lot has happened since my last update, and I wanted to share what's been going on. After our conversation about the fasting texts, things seemed to settle down for a bit. My boyfriend was really understanding and promised to be more mindful about my eating issues. For a few days, everything felt back to normal. We even started planning a weekend getaway to a cabin in the woods, something we both were looking forward to. But then, Something unexpected happened that changed everything. One evening, I came home from work to find my boyfriend sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by books and papers. He looked up at me with a serious expression and said he had something important to discuss. He had been reading more about fasting and spirituality and wanted to try a week-long fast together. He believed it would help us connect on a deeper level and improve our relationship. I was hesitant given my history with eating disorders, but he was so passionate about it that I reluctantly agreed to try it for a day or two. The first day was tough, but I managed to get through it with his support. However, by the second day, I was feeling weak and dizzy. I told him I couldn't continue, but he insisted that I push through, saying it was just my body adjusting. I didn't want to disappoint him, so I tried to keep going. By the third day, I was barely functioning. I was irritable, exhausted, and constantly thinking about food. My boyfriend, on the other hand, seemed to be thriving. He was energetic and focused, which only made me feel worse about my own struggle. On the fourth day, I made a mistake that changed everything. I was so hungry and desperate that I secretly ate a granola bar while he was in the shower. I thought I could hide it, but he found the wrapper in the trash and confronted me. He was furious, accusing me of not being committed to our relationship and spiritual growth. I tried to explain how difficult it was for me, but he wouldn't listen. He stormed out of the apartment, leaving me alone and in tears. The next few days were a blur. He didn't come home, and I had no idea where he was. I was worried sick, but also angry and hurt by his reaction. I reached out to his friends and family, but no one had seen or heard from him. It wasn't until a week later that he finally came back, looking disheveled and exhausted. He apologized for his behavior and said he needed time to think. He admitted that he had been too harsh and that he didn't fully understand the impact of fasting on my mental and physical health. We tried to move past it, but things were never the same. The trust between us was shattered, and I couldn't shake the feeling that he was still disappointed in me. Our conversations became strained, and we started arguing more frequently. The weekend getaway we had planned was canceled, and we spent most of our time avoiding each other. One night, I overheard him on the phone with a friend, talking about how he felt like he was failing in his spiritual journey because of me. It broke my heart to hear him say that, and I realized that our relationship was no longer healthy for either of us. I decided it was time to end things, even though it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. We sat down and had a long, emotional conversation about our relationship. He admitted that he had been putting too much pressure on both of us, and that he needed to focus on his own growth without dragging me into it. We agreed to part ways and take some time to heal individually. It was a painful and tearful goodbye, but we both knew it was for the best. In the aftermath of our breakup, I've been reflecting on our relationship and my own struggles with food and body image. I realized that I need to prioritize my mental and physical health and not let anyone else's beliefs or practices dictate my well-being. I've started seeing a therapist again to work through my issues and find healthier ways to cope. As for my ex-boyfriend, I heard through mutual friends that he's still on his spiritual journey, but he's also seeking therapy to address his own issues. I hope he finds the peace and growth he's looking for, and I wish him the best. Looking back, I can see how our different approaches to spirituality and personal growth ultimately drove us apart. It's a harsh reality, but sometimes love isn't enough to overcome fundamental differences. I've learned a lot from this experience, and I'm determined to come out stronger and more self-aware.